Was the mortal? How was the earth framed? There is an oddity in everybody's psyche to know the responses to these inquiries. All things considered, what is the historical backdrop of the earth? Strictly, it is said that God made the earth and afterward made trees, plants, creatures and people on it. In any case, science doesn't acknowledge this. Furthermore, we read exactly the same thing in textbooks, that the earth was a chunk of fire that emerged from the sun. Then it got cold and afterward life started. Have you at any point asked why that wad of fire probably chilled off? At any point pondered where the water in the fire came from? Have you at any point considered how the moon was framed? Today we will offer you the responses to such inquiries. Tell us about the historical backdrop of the earth or the beginning of the earth. Earth history. Around a long time back, an extremely impressive blast occurred in space because of the combination of many gases. This blast made a gigantic bundle of fire which we know as the sun. Because of this blast, dust particles spread around it. Because of the power of gravity, these residue particles transformed into little stone pieces. Continuously these pieces additionally crashed into one another because of the force of gravity and begun interfacing with one another. This is the manner by which our planetary group was conceived. For a long time, the power of gravity bound such endlessly shakes together to frame the Earth. Around then in excess of 100 planets were circling the Sun in the planetary group. Because of the crash of rocks, the Earth was being ready as a fireball, because of which the temperature of the Earth was around 1,200 degrees Celsius around 4.54 quite a while back. Assuming there was anything on the planet, it was bubbling rocks, carbon dioxide, nitrogen and water fume. There was such an air in which we would have passed on from suffocation in no time flat. Around then there was no hard surface, there was just non-finishing bubbling magma. Such intriguing data about the moon that you don't know now. Don't actually have the foggiest idea. How was the moon framed? Simultaneously another planet named Theia was going towards the Earth. Its size was just about as much as Mars. Its speed was 50 kilometers per second, which is multiple times in excess of a projectile shot from a firearm. At the point when it crashed into the outer layer of the Earth, there was an immense blast because of which a huge number of trash emerged from the Earth and that planet converged into the Earth. For a few thousand years, gravity kept on taking care of its responsibilities and the particles emerging from the Earth assembled for a few thousand years and made a circle around the Earth. From this revolution a ball was shaped which we call the moon. This moon was 22,000 kilometers around then. It was far away while today it is 400,000 kilometers. Is far. The days were passing rapidly, however changes were coming gradually in the Earth. Where did salt and water come from? How? After the development of the Earth 3.9 quite a while back, the stones left in the space began going after the Earth. There was an odd gem in these meteors tumbling from the sky, which are utilized as salt today. Amazingly, the seas from which we extricate salt, the ocean water has emerged from the salt present inside these falling shooting stars. The inquiry should be coming in your psyche that how might the sea be started from so little water present in the shooting star? So the response is that these meteors continue to fall on the Earth for 20 million years, because of which a great deal of water got collected on the Earth. No, where accomplished such a great deal water come from in the ocean? How was the hard surface made? Because of the aggregation of water on the Earth, the upper surface of the Earth began cooling and the bubbling rocks began getting hard because of cooling. In any case, the magma stayed present in a similar structure inside the Earth. The surface temperature of the Earth had arrived at 70 to 80 degrees Celsius. The outer layer of the Earth had additionally become hard. These temperatures and conditions were perfect to achieve changes in the world's environment. The water that is on the Earth today is from a long time back. The whole hard surface was covered under this water. Being close to the moon, because of the gravity applied by it, a tempest began coming on the Earth. That tempest had caused commotion on the Earth. With time the moon created some distance from the Earth and the tempest died down. The influxes of water likewise became quiet. Presently magma began emerging from the chest of the Earth and little islands began shaping. How did life start? By 3.8 a long time back, water had likewise arrived at the Earth and volcanoes were ejecting to shape little islands. The downpour of meteors had not halted at this point. Aside from water and salt, these shooting stars were bringing something different. A few minerals that should be the beginning of life. These minerals were carbon and amino acids. Both these components are viewed as in each creature and plant tracked down on the planet. These meteors used to go under 3,000 meters in water, where the sun's beams couldn't reach. Slowly, these shooting stars chilled off and set. They began taking the state of a chimney stack, and smoke began emerging from these chimney stacks because of water entering the breaks lying in the well of lava, and the water turned it into a synthetic soup. In the meantime, such a response occurred between the synthetic compounds contained in the water, what began the minute life single-cell microorganisms had created in the water. Where did the oxygen come from without plants? To know the solution to this inquiry, we need to return 3.5 billion years. This was while leaves lying on the lower surface of the ocean were developing like rocks. They had framed a settlement and had lived microorganisms on them. These leaves are called stromatolites. These microscopic organisms make their food from daylight. This cycle is called photosynthesis, in which it changes over carbon dioxide and water into glucose with the force of the sun's beams, additionally called sugar. Alongside this, it leaves a result which is oxygen gas. With the speed of time, the entire sea was loaded up with oxygen gas. Iron present in the water got rusted because of oxygen, which uncovered the presence of iron. Oxygen had entered the air over the waves. This is the gas without which life on Earth is unimaginable. Two mainlands made of one astonishing island. The star of oxygen gas kept on developing for 2 billion years. The revolution season of the Earth likewise continued to diminish. The days began getting longer. 1.5 Quite a while back the days began having 16 hours. Following a few million years, the upper surface of the Earth covered under the sea was isolated into a few huge plates. The magma spreading underneath the Earth put the upper surface into high gear. Because of this movement, every one of the plates were consolidated and an immense island was shaped. Around 400 million years after the fact, Earth's first supercontinent, Rodinia, was shaped. The temperature had decreased to 30 degrees Celsius. The days had expanded to 18 hours. The states of the Earth were like that of Mars. Quite a while back, such a power emerged from inside the Earth that isolated the outer layer of the Earth into two pieces. Also, this power was heat which was brought into the world from the liquid magma under the Earth. Due to which the upper surface of the Earth continued to get more vulnerable, and steadily both the surfaces continued to get away from one another. Because of which two land masses were shaped, Siberia and Gondwana. How did the Earth become a chunk of ice? The course of volcanic emission on the Earth was all the while going on. Alongside the magma emerging from the well of lava, gases and unsafe carbon dioxide used to emerge. The carbon dioxide spread and the environment began retaining the sun's beams. Because of which the temperature of the Earth began expanding. Because of climbing temperature, sea water got changed over and joined within the site of carbon dioxide to frame corrosive downpour. The carbon dioxide that accompanied the downpour was consumed by the stones and stones. Because of the consumption of carbon dioxide in the air, the temperature diminished to 50 degrees Celsius in a couple thousand years. The Earth in this condition is additionally called snowball. Because of the snow all over, the beams of the sun were reflected from the Earth and the temperature couldn't increment. The snow continued to increment. How chilled transform into water. The focal point of the Earth was as yet hot. The ejection of volcanoes likewise proceeded. Yet, the snow was such a lot of that the intensity emerging from the well of lava couldn't liquefy it. Yet, presently there was no such source which could assimilate carbon dioxide. Every one of the stones and stones were covered under the snow. By and by carbon dioxide showed its power and consumed the intensity of the sun and constrained the ice to liquefy. Till now the days had additionally happened at 22 hours. During the dissolving of ice, a compound response happened because of the bright hurtful beams coming from the sun, because of which hydrogen peroxide was shaped from the water and oxygen because of its breakdown. This oxygen gas is 50 kilometers. At the point when it arrived at the upper air, that too a compound response occurred, which was brought into the world from which a gas named ozone was framed, which halted the unsafe beams coming from the sun. Which gave an establishment to the start of Ivan. For the following 150 million years, The layer of this gas turned out to be extremely thick. Alongside this, trees and plants appeared and how much oxygen began expanding further. Indeed, everything was working out in a good way. The primary fish out of the water, Tiktaalik, was attempting to emerge. In 15 million years, it made the earth its home. With this, the mythical beast fly was conceived and a lot more animals began to frame. Because of the abundance of oxygen, their bones and muscles were developing extremely quick. Then there was an unexpected change in the environment. A long time back in the Siberian fields, unexpectedly magma began emerging from the earth. And every one of the living creatures there passed on. In the Gondwana mainland, maybe nothing had occurred. The temperature here was around 20 degrees Celsius. Out of nowhere, debris began falling there, which is 16,000 kilometers. It was of an emitting well of lava. Sulfur dioxide emerged from that spring of gushing lava. Furthermore, that gas got blended in with the downpour and became sulfuric corrosive. The person who consumed everything, on account of which every one of the living creatures were killed here as well. This expanded how much carbon dioxide. The temperature climbed and the water evaporated. Life ashore was finished. The sea was beginning to become pink. Everything had vanished, there were no plants or creatures. On the off chance that there was something in the sea, green growth. Assuming there was whatever might make do without oxygen in the hot air and hot sea, it was green growth. Air pockets of methane gas began turning out in the ocean water. Till now this gas was frozen, yet because of the expansion in the temperature of the sea, it began dissolving and emerging. This gas is multiple times more harmful than carbon dioxide. Everything was finished and the Earth was again in a similar condition as it was 250 million years before that time. A supercontinent reframed? The two mainlands were brought together by volcanic emissions and magma streams, and a long time back, Pangaea turned into a supercontinent once more, which was spread from one post to the next shaft. How did the Earth become tenable once more? The impact of corrosive downpour was finishing. The seawater had likewise become blue and the Earth had turned into a blue planet. Trees began recovering once more. Presently it was the ideal opportunity for dinosaurs. Alongside their development, new islands were being framed because of volcanic emissions, and because of the movement of upper plates, the supercontinent was breaking and separating into numerous mainlands. A long time back, a space rock 70,000 kilometers bigger than Mount Everest, an enormous mountain. At that speed it was coming towards the Earth. Its middle was Mexico. Its fall creates the force of a few million atomic bombs. After its fall, all that on the Earth was obliterated and a thick obscurity of residue wrapped the environment. The ground temperature increased to 275 degrees Celsius. Every one of the plants and creatures reached a conclusion. Yet again there was an adjustment of the climate of the Earth, and when everything became typical, warm-blooded creatures began, which go on till date. Homo sapiens, that rank of people in which we as a whole come. They were created quite a while back. After this, the world that you see today was shaped.